Welcome back to another episode of Two Average Husbands. I'm your host, Jake.
And I'm your host, Kyle. Welcome back, everybody. We have a special guest with us today. We saw Twitter. We heard the people. The polls are in. They want us to talk more about video games, and they want us to bring on more guests. So here we are, first episode after the poll, and we've brought a guest. I'll let him introduce himself, and then I'll ramble some more.
Hey, y'all. My name's Jed. I'm the third average husband, the guest husband, the exceedingly average of the average husbands.
We really need to figure out what we're gonna refer to our guests as. Like, are they the guest husband? Are they just husbands? We need a pet name for.
I feel like our guests should be the boyfriends. Like
boyfriends?
They haven't earned. They haven't.
Our boyfriends.
They're our boyfriends.
Oh, okay.
That's fair.
They haven't earned the. Yeah. We don't judge. They haven't earned the title yet. Like you're not until you somehow work your way into making us change our entire brand. You're just the boyfriends.
Yeah, Dane's trying the hardest. He's been on the podcast the most. He wants to be the third average husband, but he just needs to, show up a little more often. Then we'll make some changes, but not really because we're the two average husbands.
You kidding
Get out
me?
of here.
Dude, Dane's got to take out the trash. He's got to do the dishes. This man just showing up. That's called fatherhood. That's not being a husband. Okay.
Man's got a point.
Don't at me, Dane.
All right. Well, we are excited to have Jed with us, and we're gonna talk, hang out, and do two average husbands things. That being said, the other poll that was out there told us that we need to limit these to an hour. So, as I told Jake when we first started this podcast, I thought an hour was a solid sweet spot. He disagreed with me. He rained hate and convinced me that an hour and a half was better. But now the people have spoken.
Yeah, hour was definitely always best. I just like talking to you, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, I like talking too. We could talk forever.
We're
gonna try to shoot for an hour as we move forward into season 2 of our podcast here. And then I had another note of something that I was going to say that I didn't want to forget about. Oh, thank you for reminding me. Jake, I need you to do me a favor because I promised a friend that I'm going to stop burping on the podcast because apparently I have a tendency to never mute my mic and it is very fucking loud when I burp. So I'm going to do my absolute best to not burp on this podcast. And in so doing, I need you to give me a burp counter.
Okay.
Hold me accountable.
Just keep an eye on the live comments. You'll see a burp counter for Kyle.
Yeah, and hey, if anybody's in the comments as well, let us know if the volume sounds weird for anybody, and we'll fix it. We had some imbalance between the three of our mics, so just let us know, and we'll fix it while we're chit chatting and podcasting.
But the first step of becoming one of the three average husbands is, what are you drinking, Jed?
All right, boys. So this one, I'm going to preface it. I know you guys like to talk about your beers and have a little bit of background to yours. Mine comes from when I was at one point trying to be one of the cool kids. I wanted to be a fighter pilot, okay? And I was hanging out with a bunch of fighter pilots, and what the fighter pilots drank was Jack Daniels and Diet Coke. And when I asked why, they said Diet Coke is healthier than regular Coke.
You also get drunk quicker.
That was it. That was the whole thing. They would drink Diet Coke all day instead of water, and then at the end of the day, when they were done flying, they would just dump Jack into it. So that's what they drank. And if you did not have a fridge full of stocked Diet Coke as the new guy, you were wrong. So when I was the new guy, I made sure that the fridge was stocked full of Diet Coke, and they let me drink Jack and Diet with them.
I would like to know why Jake thinks that you can get more drunk off of Diet Coke than regular Coke.
Because if you're drinking, there's no calories. So your body literally just absorbs alcohol, whereas when you drink a regular Coke, it has to process the carbs and then the alcohol.
I'm buying it.
Literal science.
Find me an article.
Okay. I will.
Find me an article.
You're wrong until you prove it.
This is already off the rails.
If Jake somehow proves this to me, we'll put the article on Twitter and I'll admit that I'm wrong, but I don't believe it. Anyway,
Kyle, what are you drinking?
While Jake's trying to figure this out, I'm going to start off with a local, like always. Well, almost always, because that's what I like to do. So this one has a fancy can. Watch out. This is the Grand Canyon Prickly Pear Wheat. I'm excited about it. It's been in my fridge for a little longer than it should have been, but I'm excited.
I can't fucking wait for you to be back drinking
NPR
stouts with
article.
me. It is. I can find multiple other ones, but that was just the one. I figured they're a reputable enough source.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree.
To quickly introduce my beer, I have Breakfast Buds by the Brewing Project.
I really like that can.
You should see the next one. This is an imperial stout with coffee and maple syrup. Anybody who has listened to this podcast has heard me rant and rave about maple infused stouts. I fucking love them. And we're off to a good start.
We are off to a good start.
That sounds intense. That sounds like a whole lot of porter that I don't want to deal with.
See, porter, I agree with. Stout, on the other hand.
Yeah. If I had what Jake has for like a local shop that has just nothing but stouts, I'd probably drink only
sent you a list.
I know. I need to look at it.
I sent you like 19 bottle shops in your town.
Yeah, eventually I'll take a look. But I just like Total Wine, man. And I haven't actually been for a while. Right now I'm still getting rid of my stash of beers that's been sitting in my fridge for a while that I bought for the podcast. I just haven't gotten through them all. I made the mistake. Usually I buy like 6 at a time. Can we turn Jed up a little bit?
I can.
Comment. So I said, I would go to Total Wine and I'd get like 6 at a time because that was usually, it'd fit me for, 3 weeks. It would work fine for the podcast. And then I was like, fuck it. I'm going all out. I'm going to buy 12 this time. Big mistake. Because then we had a break in the podcast. I had beer in my fridge forever. It was a shitload of pumpkin beers.
Yeah, you have 4-month-old beer that you're just trying to power through.
Thankfully, it still like tastes fine.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not changing temperatures a bunch, you're not going to have too much skunky.
Yeah, it's fine. This thing is ridiculous. Look at that.
I mean, I say that as if I'm not also like...
Because we're fancy folk.
And there you go, boys. Another great reason. Look how much wasted space there is on that one.
0.
Plenty.
Oh, man. All right. Well, we figured with 3 people, we might as well just all do one topic.
That's correct.
And we already don't tell each other what the topics are.
That's correct.
Jed's never been on the podcast before.
True.
So we figured we'd just throw him to the wolves. So, Jed, what is our starter topic for the week?
So, what your audience doesn't know, basically Kyle's probably the only one that knows this. I am a gargantuan gamer. I love video games.
Gargantuan. It's a good word.
Gargantuan. They call me the gargantuan dumb animal. Okay. I have PC, PS5, Series X, the Switch, a few retro games, a bunch of like the Raspberry Pi and stuff to play a bunch of different shit. I made a D&D table for those watching the YouTube. That's it. I built that computer table to have a monitor in it. So when you plug your computer in, it's like your tabletop gaming's right there. I love games.
That's awesome.
What I hate is people who intentionally sabotage a wonderful product. And that's the topic I'm bringing to you guys today. My topic today is this new thing. It's kind of been around for a while, but it's recently gained a lot of steam. It is review bombing or negative review bombing is what it's called. Basically, there's this like subreddit, go figure, that has a ton of people that will go way out of their way to disagree with people that have put a lot of hard work into a game. Okay. For example, The Last of Us. If you guys remember The Last of Us, the zombie game on the PlayStation exclusive, they recently came out with The Last of Us 2 last year. It had a protagonist who was female, who was lesbian, and they was like very clearly like a liberal ideology and everything like that, right?
Goddamn
now
liberals.
Kyle knows that I'm pretty liberal, which is it is what it is. I am liberal, but I also try to be a realist when it comes down to it. This game was being attacked not because of the quality of the game, not because of how hard it was, because it was an exceptional game, and it was actually quite difficult. People were attacking it because of the social profiles that they were addressing in the game. That it's like, wow, it's kind of hard to be a gay person in society. It's kind of difficult to be a woman main character. And it was
real quick for those that
shit.
don't know. Yeah, for those that don't know, because there's probably some in the audience that have never played the game or like don't know anything about the game series. Did the main character, like, was it a switch? Did they change like profile of the character?
Yep. So the first one, it was Joel, who was like a white 40-year-old man, and then the second one, it was Ellie, who was like a secondary character in the first one, but she grew up into like a 19-year-old girl, and she became the main character of the second game.
Okay, so the young girl was the main character in the second one.
Yeah. The young girl who grew up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
The young girl who grew up became the second one. And quite frankly, she was the main character of the first one in a way, because she was the only human immune to the zombie bites. So she was like the prize of the whole thing, and nobody had an issue with it when she was a straight little 13-year-old girl, but they had an issue with it when she was a 19-year-old gay girl and she still had the immunity of the zombies and all this stuff. So
Sure.
people took a huge issue with it. More recently,
Simon.
her right. Oh yeah, other side. There you go. Reverse. More recently, Horizon Zero Dawn has a female protagonist. The basically it's like the post-apocalyptic. It's very deep into the future, kind of like that. We're so deep into the future that it's like reversed, where you have like cave tribes and such going to war with each other. But it's a female protagonist. In the second one was released this week, Horizon Forbidden West. Same thing, female protagonist. She's got like high moral character. She doesn't dress up in slutty armor. She doesn't, she's not like tits out. She's got like cool tribal pieces that like look badass, and people take issue with it because she's not dressed up like some World of Warcraft slut. And so thusly, the whole reason I'm bringing up this topic, these games are bombing, critically speaking, when it comes down to it, because people are attacking them for not being that stereotype that people want. They want the slutty female. They want the straight white male. And so the topic I'm bringing to you guys is, do you think, obviously you're probably not going to be saying, oh yeah, I think that's okay. That's not what you're probably going to be saying. But it's like, how do we kind of like counter that? How do we, as like a gaming community, eliminate this negative? Do we go towards like an independent study of people? Like, do we do independent panels or accredited people? Like, could you go to Syracuse University and get your video game accreditation, review accreditation? Like, how do we eliminate this as a community? Because right now it's really bad.
Yeah,
people are going way out of their way to be jerks.
I'm curious about a couple of things. So first of all, do you think it's stemming like solely from like a Reddit base that is driving this like media push to the critics, or do you think this is like multifaceted and like it's not just coming from one source? I just don't know. I'm asking because I'm ignorant.
No, that's fair. So it's definitely one of those things that's like coordinated on Reddit, but gaming Steam as like a cultural movement, if you will.
And do you think it's actually like just people that are like, biased against those roles, whether it be a gender role or a sexuality role, that are like actually mad, or do you think they're just like, fuck it, we're gonna smear these games because we can?
Sure. So when I went, I follow a bunch of gaming pages, including Twitch, and they just recently did the Gamer Awards, Gaymer Gamer Awards.
Yeah.
And dude, the absolute brutal amount of toxicity, toxic masculinity, hatred towards homosexuality or homophobia rather, was just insane. And I never comment on these big posts, and I just put, because there's my liberalness, I put, gaming isn't just for mediocre white men.
Facts.
And fucking detonated. I don't think I've ever gotten more of a response to a comment on an Instagram post than I've ever gotten in my life when I put gaming isn't just for mediocre white men.
Well, the funny thing about it too, right, is that, I mean, you're right? Like the actual audience of gaming is massive. So for someone to try to pick that out, and more to your point though, I think part of the problem is like, you're not going to silence those voices. So I think what we need to think about, or what is like a good part of this discussion is it actually affecting the success of the game or just the media critic ratings? Because like if you think about this in comparison to like a different environment, like movies, like people pay to tank ratings for movies all the time, and like you see like, you'll look at Rotten Tomatoes and you'll see the critic score is like dog shit, but all of a sudden like your user score or whatever they call it, I can't remember what it is. Maybe you guys know that, I don't know. But either way, that'll be significantly higher. And so at the end of the day, the critic score doesn't fucking matter. Like the success is driven by the audience that's going to. Right. I think it's audience score now that I think about it actually, but either way. So I don't know what the actual impact is on the success of the game, and it might be a significant one. I don't know. I
think the like argumentativeness that we see from people online is because it's going to be a successful game, or is a successful game. Apex Legends, when they launched, they didn't say who it was at the time, but they said that some of their characters were LGBTQ. Right. And they've confirmed, even as they've released more and more legends into the game, that there's more and more legends. Like you have Fuse, who is pansexual, Loba's bisexual, Gibraltar's gay. Like
Bloodhound.
Yeah, Bloodhound is
like,
not non-binary. Non-binary. Mirage is questioning. Valkyrie's a lesbian. Seer is pansexual. So like you know, and that's arguably the biggest game right now, especially at least on Twitch. Like I think Apex Legends is probably averaging more viewers most days than pretty much anything else. So I think successful games are inherently gonna be a little like people are going to like be more vocal about it. Like with The Last of Us 2, The Last of Us was so successful that the sequel was so highly anticipated that inevitably it was gonna be talked down on a little bit anyway, just because you know sequels don't live up to the originals, right? But because that game was so good, I think it led to a little bit more hatred just because people want to hate on the popular thing anyway.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I think you're gonna see a lot more. Like, there's probably a vocal minority that's like very angry about almost any game that's put out there for whatever reason, whether it be a some sort of a gender identity role or whatever. And you just don't really hear about it because the game's not that popular. But when it comes to these popular games, you probably are hearing that significantly more. But I have a question for both of you. Then I guess is like, how do you guys feel about specifically in like an FPS where there isn't really a story? Like you're, and I know this is kind of like bad example, I guess, because Apex technically does have a story or it has lore or whatever. But either way, when you think about a game like that, when it's like a first-person shooter that doesn't have a a defined "I'm going to go play the story" mode, do you guys take issue at all, or find any value, or just what is your opinion on creating these backstories with these different like identities that are very diverse and everything like that? Do you think it's like good for gaming? Do you think it's unnecessary? Like, what are some opinions on that? Do you get what I'm asking? Sorry, I don't know if you.
Oh, Jed, you're
essentially
muted.
In a non-story game. Do you think that there is a value, or do you have any issue with inserting those gender identities and roles into the game?
Yeah, so I got like 80% of that. My headset decided to do an update halfway through asking. I'm not even kidding. It's so funny. But dude, as an avid gamer, I can tell you that I find myself reading the lore on characters of games I actually care about.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like even in Apex Legends, when I'm playing just like a bloodthirsty W key battle royale, and I just want to like add a body count, I don't even want to win. I'm like, oh, dude, Gibraltar is like super cool, and he's like from New Zealand, and he is gay, and he likes this heavy armor because he was in a war, and like I'm like, yeah, that's cool shit. But like when you go to like a Call of Duty, it actually almost hurts to not have these backgrounds for characters sometimes. Like they just have, yeah, he looks cool, and he's wearing black, he's got black clothes on, so he looks cool. But it's like, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Who is he? I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna go shoot people, I guess. Like it's boring. I much more prefer when they have a background. But what do you think, Jake?
I'm the same way. I definitely like having the backstory. Like when Apex first came out, I'll be the first to admit I thought it was going to be a dumb game. I thought the lore was going to be stupid.
For the record, I'm not asking like, by the way, if they should have a backstory. I'm just asking if you think that it should like be inclusive and like be incorporating all the diversity into these.
Oh yeah, dude. Really games that are representative are better. Period.
We live in a diverse world. Like it's something like 10, like a little over 10%, I think, of people in the world identify as LGBTQ, and we know that there's more than that because there's tons of countries that it's still heavily frowned upon. There's people that aren't comfortable. Illegal. Yeah, there's places where it's literally a crime to be different. There's still parts of the world where racism is rampant and where it's legal to own slaves. Like there's places where slaves are still held to this day. Like that, there's always going to be places like that are going to take time to catch up with the times, right? But I think it's important to have this representation through gaming, through music, through movies, through TV. Like that's the world we live in. It's 2022. We all probably know somebody or have somebody in our family who is gay. We all know people who are from different ethnic backgrounds. We know people who speak different languages, who have gone through times of wealth and times of income inequality. Like we all know people who fit all of these criteria I'm listing right now. There's no reason that people should be mad that it's listed in games. Like just because a bunch of incels are mad that like the character gets more than they do, like it's just
I feel like I feel like if you found like a spokesperson, if you will, for like this vocal minority is what I would call them, I guess, in this case of what Jed's referring to is I feel like one of them, right, is going to, especially if you use the Last of Us 2 example, they're going to go, well, did you need to define the gender role of this character in order to facilitate the story, right? Like, did it contribute to the story and and I think both of us or all three of us are probably in the same mindset in terms of what the actual answer to this is. But I think that the the opposition or the devil's advocate in me is wanting to force that point into the conversation too, where they're going to go, did you really have to say she was a lesbian in order to make the story matter? Or like,
so I
did it
like
impact
your
the story?
I like your question, but the context of the question is usually going to be coming from a place of it's not disagreement of like, basically instead of saying why did she have to be gay, they're saying why couldn't they be straight? Did they have to be gay? Why weren't they straight? And not was she gay on purpose, like for a reason?
Yeah.
It's like why
Yeah.
couldn't she be
Yeah.
straight? Is like
you're
is the
probably right.
equivalent.
I think I agree.
It's usually a place because they're uncomfortable or they're fearful or they've been raised to hate. Like a lot of those reasons are going to be driving those questions. Because if it wasn't those, what could it be that's actually bothering them?
It's funny when you say that too, because you don't see a lot of games where they're like everybody in the game is straight, but they like label that specifically in the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's straight male.
It's
straight
assumed.
male, straight male, straight
Right.
male.
It's assumed, and that's what they want. They want their comfortable level, in their lane.
Yeah, I'm curious if you
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, gender free. Like
I am curious if you established a game right and like every single character had a defined sexuality, but it was all straight. Like if somebody would be like, "Why is this?"
Watch Dogs, right?
You know what I mean?
Wasn't Watch Dogs where you could like
Watch
scan? Yeah, so you could like scan everybody. That was like your whole thing. You were like Hacker Man, and you could like use people against, like use details about everybody in the game against them, and it was randomly generated. And you could like literally scan that person, and it would be like Jed Boswell, married, 30 years old, like, and it would just like list details about me, and except for randomly generated. So it would say like, or sexual orientation, straight or gay or whatever, non-binary. Like they would do that in game, but it didn't really, like, you would just use it like, oh, I need to distract that guard and he's gay. I'm gonna go get, a handsome looking dude and like try to distract the guard so I can break into this place.
Yeah,
it would
I think
be just something you use against them.
Or maybe you guys agree with this, maybe you don't. But I think one of the primary like kind of counterpoints to that argument, from like the devil's advocate perspective, is like, does it contribute necessarily to the story or drive a different storyline? And the answer might be no, but it doesn't fucking matter, because at the end of the day, right, if you're trying to promote inclusivity into the environment,
that's exactly right.
Would be kind of be my response, right?
I think that's the key. Is like, does it add to the story that the main character in The Last of Us 2 is gay? Probably not, right? It's not like a major. Maybe I'm, trying to go no spoilers here. So I have played part of it. I never finished it, admittedly. But does it add to the story? Probably not. Does it hurt the story? No. And that's why there shouldn't be an issue. Like the character is not a worse character. She's not any worse at what she does because she's gay, right? Like she's the same character she was. She's just a grown-up version of it. And that's where I think most of the problem with it, right, does come from a hatred or a fearful background, because it's not. They just don't want to have to know that. They just rather be oblivious and just assume that they're a straight person.
Yeah, and I think that part of it too is it's when you think of it from an open-minded perspective, it's not does it contribute to the story or does it matter in terms of does it drive a different storyline. It's like frankly I don't really care, because there's probably somebody that's playing the game that is gay or lesbian or whatever that's like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And so rather than like get mad about it, like it's really promoting that inclusivity, I think, for somebody else. So like A, I just don't really give a shit if people are mad about it, but B, like it's great for an entire community of people that has been maybe like under included in the gaming world.
Yeah, dude. Underrepresented, for sure.
Right, yeah, that's what I meant. Which the good thing too is that I think the gaming community as a whole actually does a pretty good job, because I think they recognize that like I think like gamers, right, like outside of like your standard FPS, is like we're all a bunch of fucking outcasts anyway. We're like fucking weirdos in our
There's a reason
we
we take 8 hours out of our day sometimes to just disappear into a game world, right?
Yeah, and I think we have a tendency to be more inclusive. That's just my inclination, but I also don't look at like the social media hate or anything like that, which is why I'm kind of unfamiliar with this topic that you brought to the table.
So the biggest negative impacts, I'll be very specific, it's kind of like, I'm glad you brought up Apex Legends as an example, because that's one of those games that has an active community, that has like forums that people will go on and actually talk about the game and be active. And when you have that kind of like versus Last of Us 2, which is a single player game and a campaign, and is kind of a one-off if you're not going to play the campaign a whole bunch in a row. So Kyle unmuted burp count.
He tried to be quiet. He tried to be quiet. It was very much like a
drums. I couldn't help myself.
But yeah, I think
I gotta start clicking to mute. Maybe that's my better option.
Or if you like bind it to spacebar. Like at least I know on Zoom, you can just have spacebar be your unmute button.
What does spacebar do by default on this?
I don't know, nothing.
Kyle has left the chat.
Yeah, I was like, is this gonna exit me out? Yeah.
But I think a good way to wrap that up, that was a great topic to bring to the table, Jed. That's the kind of conversation we like to have here on Two Average Husbands. But it's something that definitely needs to be talked about, because that is a very real set of people that just because it's a video game, they're seeing the hatred too, right? And they're gonna read the comments, and even if their friends don't know that they're gay, they're always gonna know that their friends made those comments if they saw them. So, and that's something that I think people should be more cognizant of when you're thinking about putting out hatred like that. Consider the people that are gonna see it, rather than just thinking that you're directing that towards a video game character.
Yeah, don't be a shitbag.
It's been a very common occurrence in fantasy football leagues that I've joined this year, and there's always an abbreviation in it, DBAD. Don't be a douchebag.
Yeah. Hey man, we're out here for inclusivity.
Exactly.
We're all of, which I think it is interesting, like I don't want to belabor this too, because I think we all agree on this, which is like the vocal minority can just kind of fuck off. And I truly don't believe that it's gonna impact the success of the game in the long term, in my opinion. I think most games, like you said, are they're probably getting more hate because they are more successful. But anyway, honestly, now I went on that tangent. I don't know what the fuck I was gonna say. I don't know what I started saying. Long story short, I think that's what I was gonna say. I think it would be good for these conversations, and whether we can just kind of inject those conversations or not, I don't know, but to like bring people from those communities, good or bad, onto these conversations would be awesome too. But it's tough to get that many guests at the same time. But it's always nice to have somebody that doesn't agree with you, so you can actually have that conversation, and also somebody that represents the people that you're trying to, well, in our case, defend or promote or help and keep inclusive. But
I've got that side of the argument covered. I know a guy for that one. But yeah, I'm serious. He's actually been on the podcast before.
Hey, we need to bring Andy on here one of these days.
Oh my God. Can that be a 4-person podcast? Can I come in for that one?
Yeah,
right.
We'll try to rope him in. I'll talk to him.
That'd be awesome. I'll just be muted the whole time. I just want to be there with Andy. I haven't seen him forever.
All right. So like I said, Jed, that was a great topic. Great first topic on Two Average Husbands. Probably better than any of the topics Kyle and I brought on our first episode. I'm going to jump into my topic while we have a second.
Please
Kyle,
do.
You haven't finished your beer yet.
I'm almost done. I
Okay.
can rate. You can go first, though.
Little less maple than I would personally like. I'll still give it a 7-1, though. It is still very good.
I think you would really like this beer.
Me?
Because it's sour. It's not a sour, but it is sour because it's made with
prickly pear. Yeah, I probably would really like that.
And in that, I think I find kind of a comfortable balance there. I don't love it, but I definitely don't hate it like I do sours.
Right.
So I'm going to give this one a 5.4, and I think it's pretty good.
We'll take that for you. We will take that. Jed, I would ask you what you're going to give your Jack and Diet, but we already know it's a 10.
10.
10 on 10.
One per finger.
There we go. All right, I'm going to hop into my topic.
Yes.
Kyle, I was alluding this to you. Jed, if you have the app Spotify, you might want to get your phone ready, or at least just get your brain working on some musicians. Not recently at this point. This was a few weeks ago. But I was listening to From Under the Cork Tree, which is my favorite album by Fall Out Boy. And I was just having a thought to myself as I was listening to it. I was like, everybody loves Sugar We're Going Down, right? Like that's one of like the stereotypical like pop punk emo songs. It's in everyone's top 10, right? I don't even think it's the best song on the album. So I want to know from each of you, I want to know three of your favorite artists that you think they have a song that is better than their most popular song. I want to know this
is wonderful.
I want to know what you would consider to be their most popular song, and then what you think is a better song than that song.
That's a good one.
I can go first while you take some time to look it up.
Yeah. That's the hard part about when you do these music ones is I end up having to sit here and just like in silence awkwardly look at things.
I know. So I will keep it going. I will not actually count this as one of mine. I will give 3 fresh ones as well because it'll make me kind of think about it because I haven't thought too far ahead with it. But from that album, Sugar We're Going Down, I think that's probably the 3rd best song on the album. I think the best song on the album is 7 Minutes in Heaven out of Van Halen or Sophomore Slump or Comeback of the Year. I think those are both better songs. I think there's probably 3 or 4 more songs even off of that album that are better, personally.
You know what the hard part about this too is like when I look at an album, I don't usually like listen to albums like cover to cover. I'm a big like I just listen to random ass playlists, which I think like my way of listening to music would drive a lot of people crazy because I just like let Spotify create my playlist for me.
You do.
And I just like listen to random shit. I don't ever like make my own playlist, and that might make people crazy. I don't know. But that being said, I don't really like know the most popular song on an album per se. I'd have to look at like the listens on Spotify and try to figure it out from there.
That's what I figured you were going to do.
Yeah,
also, I want to correct myself from, actually, no, I did include the 2 songs that I mentioned. But I also think our lawyers made us change the name of this song so we wouldn't get sued, which is the intro song to the album. I think that's the best song on the album. Like they started off hot. And I know Dance Dance was like a single and it was a radio hit, but that is like the only skip on the entire album where like if I never hear Dance Dance again, I'm never gonna care.
Dude, how do you like open an album and see all the listens for every
I don't know
song?
if you can on the album.
See, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if I'll be able to determine what their most popular
Well,
song is.
just like think of what you would maybe like what you would consider their most popular song to be. Like if it's
Bold.
it's probably one of the ones that's on their top listens. You don't even have to do it from the album. You could just like pick an artist, what their most popular song is. Like Nickelback's most popular song is probably Rockstar, right? But they've got hundreds of other songs probably at this point.
Sure. What do you got?
I was mentally prepared for this, but I hadn't written it down yet. I'm ready.
All right.
I already have it.
Kyle's still looking, so let's get your number 1, at least one of yours.
My number. Ooh, I might go in reverse order.
Okay.
Of my personal preference.
Let's do it.
All right. In college, I was a sneaky big The Fray fan.
Okay.
All right. And one of their number 1 songs by far was "How to Save a Life." Right.
Sure was.
That was the name of the album. That was the name of the song. I was a really big proponent. Like, I could go to Walmart when I was in college and I was a poor broke kid, and I could go get like a stack of like out of the CD pile for like $4.99. And this was like before I could afford iTunes or anything like that. And so I would go to Walmart and I'd buy these albums for like $5 a pop. And I liked The Fray, so I went and I bought How to Save a Life. On that album, it's not even close that How to Save a Life is one of the worst songs on the album. Not even close. The whole album is fantastic. But my favorite of those songs, what you're going to catch me singing in the shower or like crank to 11 in my car on the drive to work, is a song called Vienna. It's like this beautiful crescendo piano piece that goes from like very low, like somber tones. It just turns all the way up to 11, and then it hangs almost a cappella towards the end, and it's fantastic. So How to Save a Life is the album, but the song is Vienna. That would be the one I would push people towards. And the live version is like, it's like that eerie, goosebumpy, chill kind of version. Oh, it's awesome.
I need to look up that album now that you mentioned that, but I don't want to like exit out of where I'm at on Spotify because I'll lose my place. So remind me that I need to come back to that.
I did it on my phone because I was afraid.
Yeah, I also have it on my phone, but one of my favorite songs from that album, because I also was really big into that album back in the day, is also not How to Save a Life, and I'd have to figure out what it is exactly. So give me a minute. While we're doing this, hot pause, boys, because I didn't introduce my second beer, which is Mud Shark Brewing Scorpion Amber. So I'm going to go ahead and tap into that.
That sounds spicy, dude.
We'll see.
I like ambers.
See. I do too. That is a really good can. You're muted, Jake, but that is a good can.
Shit. Anyways, yeah. Your Brain on Brunch by Pipeworks Brewing. All of their cans are amazing. They're local, like pretty local to me in the Chicago area. and they get like local artists to do their cans, which is actually really
cool.
sick.
Yeah,
that's
And
awesome.
all of their beers are amazing as well. So I am very, very, very excited for this one. But
I really
wife
like
and I were in
ambers, but I have a
Chicago.
tendency to say it again. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I really like ambers, but I have a tendency to think a lot of them do taste the same. So if they can differentiate themselves, that's when I'm like, damn, this is good.
yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Or
as you.
really bad.
My wife and I were just in Chicago in December. We went to a Chicago for a few days, and then we drove north for a Green Bay game. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a Packers fan.
Yeah, I noticed. It's fine.
Gross.
We'll let you on the pod. It's fine.
All right, here's my first. My first is on the album Rumors by Fleetwood Mac.
Oh my God.
The number one song is Dreams,
Oh yeah.
and I think The Chain is 100 times better.
Dude, the Chain is
I
such
fucking love The Chain.
such a good, such
It's
a bop.
really, really fucking good
It's
song.
so good.
It is a really good song.
That's
This
a good one.
And this is why I wanted to talk about it. One, I need some new music to listen to, right? But or music to I shouldn't say new to listen to, music to re-listen to, right? But I think it's a pretty common occurrence where like what ends up being the radio singles, because they're going to be like commercially successful, don't end up being the band's best songs by any stretch of the imagination.
Did you see you've seen fucking goddamn it, what's the Bohemian Rhapsody is the name of the movie, right? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
You remember that scene in The Office where they're like, no, this is going to be the producer or whatever is trying to make them use a shittier song as the single, and they're like, no, it will be Bohemian Rhapsody.
And
It's rock opera. It will be.
That's the thing, is that
And you're gonna
happens
love it.
all the time. Like
the producer, you mean picking the
like that,
Yeah.
the record label, and that's why you see so many artists be independent now. It's like, I'd rather not take this $1 million advance that I have to fucking pay back anyway. I'd rather just release my music myself, make a little bit less money, but I have full creative control. One song that I'll just do the album for this one. My number 3, I'm gonna stick on the pop punk trend. It's All Time Low. I'm a sneaky All Time Low fan and kind of always have been, but from their album Nothing Personal, which they remastered, in the remastered version recently, is so much better. But the most popular song by far on that album was Weightless. That was like the number one single, the first song that they reached out. And again, I think there are multiple better songs on the album. Stella is my favorite All Time Low song of all time, especially the live version that they just did. It's infinitely better. A Party Song, The Walk of Shame, is better. Therapy is a kind of like a piano-y ballad, and that's another amazing song. And I think that album is just a perfect example of like, just because they're one of the radio songs doesn't mean it's anywhere near the best song on the album.
You know what's actually surprising me is now that I'm looking at the How to Save a Life album, just how many more listens that How to Save a Life has than anything else on that album. Like it is.
It's ridiculous.
And that was just one, like, if I remember right, they had like 3 or 4 different singles off of that album. I know Cable Car was, I think,
I was
the
just going to
first
say
single
Cable
off the
Car
album.
is the one that I was thinking of.
I
earlier
think
when I was
that's
talking about
better
that.
than How to Save a Life.
I actually really like How to Save a Life, but I do think
You know what? That's not even my favorite Frey album. The Frey self-titled album. That you guys need to listen to that cover to cover. That one is just fantastic.
Yeah.
And then I have one more, but I'll let you guys go, and then I got to figure out where the hell it is anyway.
All right, Jed, what's number 2 for you?
Yeah. So number 2 in the ascending order. I am not the biggest country music fan, but I really have always enjoyed Zach Brown. I just find him to be like a really talented dude. He went to Juilliard. He's like a true blue musician. He's not just like, it took my truck and now I'm drunk and then my dog died. Like, he's not that crap. Like, the dude, he goes hard.
Right.
And if he's
bangers.
if he's ever in town for you guys, make a point to go see him, because his live shows are amazing. He goes so hard, and that's awesome.
I always say too, I don't listen to his music like frequently, but I love watching him perform live.
His live shows are amazing. You know what though? I say the same thing about Dave Matthews. I don't love Dave Matthews per se, but I always make a point to go to his concerts because his live stuff is so good.
I didn't know Dave Matthews had such a cult following until like after college.
Can it be called a cult following though? He was like the biggest artist in the world for like 2005 era.
Yeah, but
Dude,
there's a lot of people that held on. Like, that's the thing. Like, he's out of the light, but he sells out. He sells out stadiums still. It's been a long time.
I got out of college and one of my buddies had a sticker on the back of his car. I was like, "What the fuck is that sticker?" He's like, "Dave Matthews
Dancer,
Band, bro."
right?
And I was like, "What?" Yeah, it was, yeah. I was like, "What the fuck is
You
that?"
see those all around here because there's so many venues in the central New York region that he plays a ton of them and he
That
sells
one
them
really
all out.
it threw me off. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I didn't realize you
But
did
anyways,
that into fucking
so-
Dave Matthews Band, bro.
So, I'm not a Dave bro, but he is great live and he's always worth going to. I just get lawn seats, you know. It's a great show.
Yeah.
Anyway, You Get What You Give is one of Zach Brown's first albums towards 2010, right? And I'm gonna name a few songs off here. You've got Knee Deep with Jimmy Buffett. You've got Let It Go.
Jimmy Buffett.
I
So
Play
much.
the Road. Cold Hearted. Let's see here. As She's Walking Away with Alan Jackson. Settle Me Down. Keep Me in Mind. He does the Martin cover, but that's
good. Yeah.
like he's got a ton on this one album. He's got so much music that people know and is still on the radio today. But unquestionably, by far, hands down, the best song in this album is Colder Weather. It is the only song on there that is a completely different tempo. It's so off kilter for everything else, and it really just shows like the band and his personal range when it comes to writing and performing music. Colder Weather is like one of my personal like top 5 songs of all time.
That
and
is
it
a really
gets
good
completely buried on that album because of how many other
kind of
popular songs are on it.
Song.
Oh, it's a total heart jerk or tear jerker, man. It rips my heart out every time I hear it, but I fucking love it.
Yeah,
that one, it would be. I call that one my American Idol song because if I was ever to do an American Idol tryout, that's the song I would do.
I have a side story just because you brought it up, but I hate Jimmy Buffett so fucking much because I was a lifeguard at a water park for 4 years, and I think it was
every
either
day.
the second or third year that I worked there. My boss, and shout out to him because he's a fucking super great human. Like I really like the dude, but for whatever reason, he was a big Jimmy Buffett fan. Dude fucking loved Jimmy Buffett, and so one year he bought a subscription to Sirius XM radio for the water park, and then they would play it on the speakers, right?
You just played Margaritaville.
No, they have Jimmy Buffett radio.
Yeah, it's called Margaritaville. That's the name of the channel.
Yeah,
I thought it was called Jimmy Buffett radio.
Maybe they changed it. It used to be called like Margaritaville radio or whatever. But it's
the
the Jimmy Buffett.
It's his brand.
Yeah.
His brand,
he never switched it off of that for an entire season. An entire
so you were
season.
wasting away again in Margaritaville? Is that what you're telling me?
I worked 10-hour days for an entire summer.
Just listening to Jimmy Buffett.
That's all I heard. Jimmy Buffett.
God.
No commercials.
Did you ever find that Lost Shaker Assault?
Huh?
What?
Dude, I hate Jimmy Buffett. I fucking hate Jimmy Buffett.
Oh my god.
Oh man, that's funny.
It's not Jimmy's fault.
Right.
Jimmy, if you're out there, I'm sorry.
My number two is Colder Weather by Zach Brown on the You Get What You Give album.
I'm ready for mine. If you wanted to go, you can though. Jimmy.
Nope. It is you, my friend.
This one I think is like the best example of this of all time. So, AWOL Nation, I'm a big fan.
Solid.
I don't like the song Sail, which, as you can imagine, which when it was popular, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. But Sail is the, like, leagues ahead on the Megalithic Symphony album, the most popular song. Like, I don't have the exact listens here, but everybody that has ever heard music has probably heard that song at some point in their life. It's super overplayed. It's a lot.
Sail.
The song that you've probably never heard of is called Nights of Shame, and it's on the same album, and it is so much better. And like Jed was talking about with Vienna and how it's like kind of this just really fucking awesome. Like if you think of like a, like, oh, it's the operatic section of, Bohemian Rhapsody. This song is literally like 6 songs in one, but it has these like really weird transitions in the middle of the song, and it's super fucking cool. So like you start off and it's just like these it's almost like listening to a symphony that changes into different symphonies mid-song. I don't know how else to describe it. All I can say is you need to listen to Nights of Shame by AWOL Nation. It's a long song, so buckle up, but it is really fucking good. I had a CD, back in the day, and I'd throw it into my GMC Jimmy, and I would just fucking listen to that song for like an entire drive, and I love that fucking song.
That's awesome. Jimmy. Maybe
All
he's
right.
the third average husband.
Maybe.
It's a GMC Jimmy.
I'm gonna go to my number 2. This is just the artists discography as a whole, their music as a whole. I would say for most people who have listened to New Found Glory, the song that sticks out in their brain is My Friends Over You. It was their most popular song. It's their most listened to song on Spotify by like 70 million plays. Like it's not even close to their best song. Their best song is called Hit or Miss. It is off their Nothing Gold Can Stay album. It is the best New Found Glory song that has ever been made, and nobody can ever sway my opinion on that.
Did New Found Glory did they have the song called Superman?
No, that's like Matchbox 20 or some shit.
No, it's not.
Oh my god.
I gotta find out.
Superman song. There's the Eminem song. That's not the one you're talking about.
No.
Five for Fighting? Are you thinking of Five for Fighting?
I don't think so.
It's not easy.
Are you thinking of You Call Me Crazy? Yeah, will you still
No,
call
dude,
me
that's Three Doors Down. That's Kryptonite. That was my shit.
Not that one.
That was my shit growing up so hard. That was
there's
you saying that?
There's a Goldfinger song. Goldfinger's probably like the closest.
But there was another song by like one of those like off bands that was actually really fucking good and was never really popular. It'll come to my mind.
It's probably Kryptonite or Superman by Goldfinger.
It was not Goldfinger. I know that for sure.
REM?
I'll report back to you. I'll figure it out.
Let us know.
Will do.
All right, Jed, what is your number one?
Is it Superman's Dead by Our Lady Peace?
No, it just popped in my head, and I don't say any more Superman-related things for a second.
Anyways, Jed, your number one.
Superman Can't Walk. Okay, there we go.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wow,
that is a good song.
All right. So this one is definitely like the epitome of a preference as far as like number one goes, okay? This was the first album I ever bought with my own money. I had a job when I was 14 years old.
I can't wait to hear this.
Working farms. Dude, it's a banger too. I would really encourage you and everyone to listen to it if you haven't heard it. It must have been close to like 2004-ish. I was like 14 years old, and I just started working a farm. I had cash. My parents brought me to Media Play, where my mom worked, and I bought this album because I heard this one song on the radio that I absolutely loved. It was Ocean Avenue by Yellowcard, and so I got the Ocean Avenue album because of how much I love this one song, Ocean Avenue.
I was gonna do this album too, so I'm really curious as to what this is.
All right. As I'm listening to this song, and my favorite song in this album changed like as years went through. I loved Way Away because like it was like I was 14 and I was angsty, and it was like a beat 'em up rock song. It was fast paced.
It's also just a banger. It's still a great
banger.
song.
It's still a banger. I just listened to this album the other day, and it's awesome. And then I would go towards the end of the album. I really should have the album up because I'm talking about it. But ultimately, year after year, I come back to, as an adult, especially, the song called "Only One."
Yeah, that's not the one. That's not the one.
What did you have? What did you have?
I think that Inside Out is probably the best song on that album. But Only One is very, 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 very good too. And I do think I would listen to that over Ocean Avenue any day of the week.
So I moved a ton, and at times songs like Back Home really resonated with me because it's, they're talking about being on the West Coast for their jobs, but they grew up on the East Coast, and, Ocean Avenue in Florida. Believe is a really good one. That was like for I believe that was for the song they dedicated to 9/11, like firefighters and police officers.
I think you're right.
And so they had like they just resonated with me, like different songs throughout, but the one that like I would always go back to when I was dating or heartbroken or found a new girl I was interested in or whatever it was this song called Only One. And the irony being, of course, that like I sang it in my head for all of these girls, but it was just one of those songs that
Does Erin know this?
Hit. No,
Did you
she's
sing
in
this
bed.
for Erin?
She's not listening to this podcast anymore. The song's like the very, very top of my register. And so when I wanted to give it like 100%, I would bust out Only One. So for me, my number one song, personal choice, of all time, off my first album I ever bought with my own money, Ocean Avenue's Only One.
Because Jed brought it up, but we're running out of time on this topic, we need to address this really quick. Jake, what was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
It was Let It Go by Avril Lavigne.
That's way worse than mine.
But the second album was the Ocean Avenue album.
Okay, all right. Well,
do you guys know what mine was?
I don't know if I want to know.
Oh wait, hold on. How old are you?
It came out in 1998.
Was it an Against
That was the first
Me
album I
album?
ever bought. Mm-mm.
Ugh,
1998.
I'm not gonna Google albums from 1998. But
all right, here you go. You ready?
Yeah.
Devil Without a Cause, Kid Rock. That's the first fucking album I ever bought.
I had that album, but that's because my parents bought that album.
Oh my god.
I'm now playing music on my phone. Don't get copyrighted.
I have to. I gotta pull up the
down.
second album.
Shut her down, boys.
My
FBI.
My second one was Blink-182's.
My second one was way
album.
more embarrassing, but I can't remember what the album was called, so I got to figure it out really quick. Okay, no, that wasn't it.
Anyways, while Kyle pulls this up, since we are running a little close on time, I want to make sure that I talk about how off of A Day to Remember's most popular album, it's everybody's favorite album. There are no skips on the Homesick album front to back. But everybody goes to The Downfall of Us All. Everybody goes to the softer song on the album that was If It Means a Lot to You. But My Life for Hire is the best song on that album, and it might be my favorite A Day to Remember song of all time. Over all of the other hits that they've put out, over everything that they've done over their whole discography, My Life for Hire is hands down the best A Day to Remember song.
Carly threw out there that she thought my first album was Who Let the Dogs Out, and that was one of my first albums. It was not the first that I ever bought with my own money, though. I used to listen to Who Let the Dogs Out on repeat on my fucking CD player with my shitty headphones. Dude, I was into
the fact that my dogs barked right as you were talking about this was the best part of the
Dude,
podcast.
one of my favorite things in the world, though, as a college student, was I would get hammered at the bar, and I would go to the jukebox, and I would find out if they had Baha Men, and I would just put on repeat Who Let the Dogs Out at the bar.
That's the most Kyle shit that I've ever heard in my life.
Oh my god. Dude, I have
Man. Underrated album of all time. Baha Men.
You
Who
need to
Let the Dogs Out.
get your story out so I can finish. I need to hit you with my bar choice.
Give me 2 seconds because I need to tell you this then.
All right.
My second album that I ever bought, which is way worse. You ready for this?
Oh god.
Misunderstood. Pink. I'm coming up.
And you were laughing at me for buying an Avril Lavigne album? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
I went, but it was very.
I went yellow card to Blink-182, boys. I can't really relate to what you're talking about.
Pink. I was into it.
I bought From Under the Cork Tree right after that. Actually, I had a lot of Linkin Park albums. I think Meteora was probably my first five that I bought.
Yeah, you're probably right. I probably bought
Meteora might have actually have been my first one if I'm really, really thinking about it now. But I'm gonna stick with Avril Lavigne because it's a funnier story.
Yeah, that's a good story. Kid Rock, I know for sure, was my first. I don't know the rest of the order, I guess, specifically. Because I remember my brother had already owned the album, and he was like, why the fuck did you buy that? I was like, because you don't share things with me because you don't like me. So I had to buy it myself.
Yeah, shit happens.
All right, Jed, let's hear it.
Did you get your number one out?
I've said enough.
Yeah.
We're running out of time.
No, that's okay. As far as going to the bar and getting drunk and fucking with people from the jukebox, I stole this out of a comedian's playbook, and I would play "What's New Pussycat" by Tom Jones over and over and over again. I would pay like $12 to, and I would break it up with like an actual like rap song, like a Biggie song or something, and people would be like, "Oh, thank God it's over," and then you'd hear, "Boom, boom, boom, what's new, Pussycat?" Whoa, 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 and then people would fucking leave. It was amazing,
dude. So you'll appreciate this. Just this will be quick too. But my brother, back in the day, he'd have like the jukebox app on his phone or whatever, and he had an entire album in his jukebox, like albums of just songs to piss people off, and he would buy the whole playlist. It was like a $25 playlist, and he'd buy the whole thing. And basically, it was a playlist of just the longest songs ever. That were just 10, 12-minute songs that were just awful, and he'd pay $25 to play at the bar.
He's buying the 23-minute version of Freebird.
Yeah, pretty much. But he would also play on repeat Air Force Ones by Nelly. That was his funny go-to. keep a stomping in my Air Force Ones just all night.
If jukeboxes had Tiptoeing in My Jordans, that's what I'd be
They
playing.
probably do. Yeah, they probably do.
For that, oh yeah, now because everything has like touch tunes, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I say jukebox, but that's what I mean.
All right, Kyle, what is your topic for?
My topic, which we don't have a ton of time for, but it's a good one, I think. So Jed's the only one that brought a serious topic. So here's my less than serious topic as well. Hey, we like to mix it up around here.
Exactly.
So Carly, right? She likes to scroll through what the hell is that app called that all the kids like? TikTok.
TikTok.
So she likes to do TikToks. Well, sometimes she falls asleep while she's watching TikToks, and so I get to hear TikToks on repeat for like 5 minutes until it times out. So the other night, this TikTok is on repeat. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be petty about this, right? So I spent like a 5-10 minutes while I was listening to this thing on repeat, and I transcribed the entire TikTok and sent it to her in a text. But after I sent it to her in a text, she texted me the next morning. She's like, what the fuck was that? And I was like, that's the TikTok you fell asleep to. And she's like, oh, that'd be a really great podcast topic. And I was like, yeah, you're right. It would be. Oh, and so here's the topic, which is what the TikTok was based off of her talking about. What are things as a kid that you saw that your friends had or people that you knew had that made you like think that person's rich? Like, so the things that you would go to your buddy's house and you're like, damn, this dude's rich when you saw it, right? So what are those things for you guys?
I got one. I had a friend that had like a cutout in their wall for their aquarium.
Oh damn! Oh, yeah, that's rich.
I know how I now know what they did for a living. They weren't like that. They didn't have it like they had it, but they didn't have it like that.
Yeah.
But I thought that they were like, because that was the shit you would see when you'd watch like MTV Cribs, like people having like giant, and that's what they had. But it turns out they just bought the house that way. Like the guy who lived in it died, and the kids sold like the kids of this guy sold him the house, and they got a super good deal on it.
That is a good one. I almost put aquariums on my list. I didn't.
Yeah, giant ass aquarium in the wall.
Jed, you got any before I'll give a few examples, I guess, if you don't have one right off the bat.
I got one because I remember this very explicitly. I grew up in a nice part of town, but I was like the rural area, well past the nice part of town, that went to the same school as the nice part of town.
Yeah, that's kind of.
And so I always remember thinking that all the rich kids walked home from school. Because I lived so far away from the rich part of town, I had to take the bus. So I saw all my rich friends walking home from school, and I had to hop on the bus to get home.
Dude, that's kind of a good one in general, just not taking the bus. Because I did too.
Yeah, I was like, the poor kids took the bus because their parents would pick them up, or they had their own cars, or they would walk home because they were so rich that they could live in town.
It's funny because I have on my list here, stay-at-home moms made me feel like they were rich too. I was like, God damn, they're making so much money that she can just stay home, and she's picking her kids up from school, which goes kind of hands in hands with the bus concept.
Yeah.
One for me, I had 4 or 5 different friends that had a soda vending machine in their garage. Turns out the only
garage fridge that was a flex.
The parents were doing it literally so that we would put quarters in when we'd come over, and we would like the math worked out that they basically broke even. But they knew how to get the soda for free, but we had to pay for it. We had to put a quarter in every time we wanted one, so we didn't go crazy.
My dad had one of those, but like he didn't make people pay. He just untwisted it and pulled it open. He just used it to chill drinks and thought it looked cool.
Yeah, no, we had to use quarters and everything.
You got owned, man.
I did. Spent a lot of money.
Dude,
a lot of my parents' quarters.
I think this is number 1 for me. If you had a big screen TV, that was it. That blew my mind.
My dad got one at a golf outing. Have you seen the ones that have like the back, like it's like 60 inches, but it has the giant projector back?
It's got the ass.
We had,
I was gonna say
she was thick. We had one of those bad boys.
We got a 48-inch, perfectly square projector screen TV. My dad was pretty technically inclined, and my great uncle, who had like retirement money and was like, check out this cool TV. Like it broke on him, and so my dad's like, I'll fix it for you, and so he threw it in the truck, drove it over, fixed it, and that's how we got like this janky ass 48 by 48 inch projector TV that was way ahead of what we could afford.
Yeah,
it was like thousands of dollars of TV at the time.
Yeah. Dude, so like I didn't live with my dad primarily when I grew up. I lived with my mom, right? So like, but my dad eventually got a big screen TV. I don't remember how big it was, but it was fucking huge in my mind back then. But it was one of those giant back ones too. and I can't remember. I think like he kept it so long because he probably paid like $5,000 for this TV that was really worth like $200, you know, and like in today's time. But maybe Carly confirmed this or not, but I think like into my adult life he still had that TV, and I'm pretty sure he still had it when she had met my dad. But the bulb would like blow out in this TV.
Yeah.
And because he had invested so much money into buying this TV, that he would fucking pay like hundreds of dollars to replace this bulb, like on a recurring basis. And I remember one time I was like watching TV at night and the bulb burnt out, and he came and got like mad at me about it. I was like, what the fuck? Like, my bulb burned out on my TV. I was like, yeah, I fucking turned the TV up and the bulb burned out. What do you want me to do? He's like, it's like $250 now. I can't watch my TV. Like, maybe you should get a less shitty TV, dude. How are you paying?
This one's on you, Dad. I'm sorry.
But anyway, and then when flat screens started coming out, holy shit.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a flat screen for a really long time. I was like, God damn, you got a flat screen, bro? Your TV doesn't weigh 300 pounds?
Shit.
This is crazy.
Dude, I just downsized my TV for the first time in my life.
I will never. I refuse.
Yeah, I thought that, but actually you can see it here. I went to a 50 from a 60. It was just too short a distance. I wasn't enjoying it.
Yeah, I think that
one
fits
I was
the wall
like, I was like snapping my neck to watch TV back here.
That one that does fit the room pretty well.
Yeah.
I can understand the reasoning there.
It's good.
Uncle Kyle pointed out in the chat that I did break that screen once as a child, and they did have to get a screen cover for it.
Do you remember those two? Like those giant fucking TV screen covers?
Yep.
Those
We
were
had one.
huge. Oh man.
The only other thing that I can think of that like I thought my friends were rich for it was projectors. Like I had a couple friends that had projectors in their basement.
I still think that. Are you kidding?
They're like $100. They're so cheap.
The nice ones still are pretty expensive. You can get a pretty shitty cheapo.
They had cheap like free ones that came from work.
Oh, okay.
So
well, if you guys don't have a ton of other ones, go ahead.
I got one more.
Yeah,
finished basements.
Ooh,
yeah.
You would have thought I had it.
I had a fieldstone basement, and it was like it's just like growing up. Like that wall, we knew that wall leaked, so don't put anything on that wall. But the drain's like kind of in that corner, so you're good. But it was like just every spring it would like flood. So our washer and dryer were on like cinder blocks and shit, and it was just like there was a 0% chance we were ever finishing that basement. But I'd go over to my rich friend's house, and they'd have a finished basement. I'd be like, "What's it like to not have to worry about your shit floating away?" Like.
All right,
we had a finished basement.
Satellites is a good one too. From Uncle Kyle in the chat.
Yep.
But I'm gonna burn through. I have a pretty long list, so you guys can confirm or deny my thoughts on this.
Let's
but I grew up in like a relatively, I think we were in like upper low class. Like I don't think we even broke from the middle class. But all right, so if you had water in your fridge door that like dispensed into your car,
that was a good one.
That I grew up with. That was like standard for me.
I didn't have that.
No, that was
The next one on my list I did have, so this one doesn't, but Carly mentioned it, which was people that had dishwashers. She was like, God, you rich? But I had one, so I can't really connect with that
always had one, yeah.
Yeah, I always had one.
People that had housekeepers. I was like,
definitely rich people.
You might be the richest person I've ever met.
Definitely rich people.
We had that for like a year, and then my parents were like, it's a fucking waste of money, because they made us clean before the housekeeper came over.
That always threw me the fuck off. Dude, that's funny as shit. That's actually really fucking
like,
funny.
Why the fuck are we cleaning? That's what we're paying her to do.
People that got like nice cars on their 16th birthday.
Oh yeah,
rich. So fucking rich.
Rich.
I met a guy one time that his parents had a basketball court in their backyard, and I thought that was like the Gucciest rich shit I've ever seen in my life. Which really was just two fucking hoops that they put on like a piece of.
Oh, see, I had one friend that had like the basketball court with everything, like with the chain link fence and everything, like drawn out to scale.
We had a summer league kid that made the team because his family had a full basketball court outdoor in his backyard.
Just so like you guys could use it.
And it worked as a tennis court when they weren't playing basketball on it. Like it was dumb. It was both.
We had a kid like that made a travel baseball team because his family had like formerly like a storage shed for tractors on the farm that they bought, but they didn't farm on the land at all, so they turned into like batting cages. And the kid made the team exclusively so we could use that in the winter.
That's pretty good. All right.
That actually is an awesome use for a barn, though.
Yeah. Did you guys ever go to somebody's house?
Adding cages to the list.
Yeah. Did you guys ever go to somebody's house and they had like a glass door in their pantry?
I don't think so.
It was like I know what you're in the middle of their pantry and it was like fancy.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't think so.
Fancy pantry.
I would like to add. I would like to add pantry to the list.
Yeah, right. Like we just had cupboards.
You're talking
and
about
drawers and
glass
shit.
doors.
Yeah, dude.
I'm like, hello.
I remember the first time I ever
storage
saw
area.
that though.
You
I went to a
mean- you
friend's
mean-
house and he had a walk-in pantry with a glass like door in the insert, and I was like, God damn, you are fucking rich.
You got
Which he
money.
was, so that's fair. But granite countertops, that was not a thing for me
Yeah.
growing up. So I
No,
thought
we-
you were
we
rich,
had
rich if you
granite.
those bad boys.
I had vinyl or laminate, whatever
Yeah,
they were.
same. And then another good one is like the moms that drove like the Denali's. Like when Denali's first came out, and like there was Denali's just fucking everywhere.
I like where I grew up. I didn't think that was like rich people until I grew up and realized how expensive those fucking cars are. And I'm like, hey, you had it.
It was like the all blacked out Denali.
Yeah, that shit's $100,000.
All right, I got one more, and it's a sad one. You ready?
Oh Christ.
Oh boy.
Married parents.
Oh.
Ooh, that was a sad one.
Yeah. I had married
see that
parents.
shit. I'm like, you guys got dual income? You guys rich?
Mm.
You
know
got
what I mean?
2 jobs?
What's twice minimum wage? That was that. Was that one?
That's a good one.
When was the moment before, not to hijack your topic, and we're already a little over an hour, but
we are over.
when is the moment that you guys were like, okay, my family's not poor, or not as poor as I thought they were?
No, I was poor.
We
were really
we were,
I
we
didn't
were
have
kind
that
of poor too.
But okay, so then when in your life did you hit a
I don't
point
think
where
I was-
you
I
were
don't think I was
comfortable with
Kyle
that?
poor.
Where you were like, okay, we're doing okay now.
When did I hit that
once-
point for myself personally?
Yeah.
Like 5 years ago.
Yeah, like when I got promoted for like the 3rd time, and I was like, oh, I make more than my family.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, pretty much. It was definitely
But-
into my adult life, which when I was like, okay, I make a comfortable amount of money where I'm like, I feel secure in my income.
My wife and I make almost 4 times what my parents make.
Jeez. Yeah.
So
My dad makes 5 times what I make. It's great.
Yeah.
Actually, almost 6 times. He makes 6 times what I make. Christ.
you could give me my number, by the way. I'm looking
Yeah.
for a job.
But my parents like hid the fact that we were pretty like well off, pretty well. So
That's
for
the
me,
play, dude. That's
for me,
the play.
it was when my mom went back to college to finish her degree. When she was like, I don't know, this was whenever the thing happened at Virginia Tech, whatever year that was, is like when my mom went back to college, and that's when I was like, I know how expensive college is now. Like we must have some like decent money. So that was it for
Dude,
me.
that's the play. Flashing your gaudiness is absolutely overplayed. There's a lot of
Honestly.
dudes that I work with, like we make the same amount of money, and they go and buy, basically, where their kids could walk home from school, and Aaron and I, we're so happy to just live in a place that's like beyond affordable.
Oh, yeah.
And I renovate houses as a hobby.
You can
So,
come over
like,
whenever.
I was gonna
I
say you
bought-
can come visit me at my new house.
I bought a total piece of shit, and I flipped it because I got to make it whatever I wanted it to be.
Yeah,
Right.
which is fantastic.
And-
as long
Yeah.
as the bones are good.
And I was able to cash flow it, and it cost me like 8% of my income to live here. And
Yeah.
that to me is a true sign of like wealth.
Yeah,
When you can hide it because
Yeah.
you make good decisions, that to me is way better.
100%.
Generational wealth.
Hell yeah, dude. That's
I don't want
absolutely.
kids, but generational wealth.
No, that's what I've told Aaron. I'm like, generational wealth is
Carly, you've missed him
exactly
3
like
times, by the way.
he's
She said,
actually
where
right
is
here.
Simon in the chat?
Yeah, I saw it. He's right here.
There he is. Oh, that is a good bed. That's a good spot.
That-
Oh
That's a
yeah,
really
he's
good
my
bed
desk
spot.
buddy. He's my
That's
desk
awesome.
buddy.
Kyle, you
You're
need
welcome.
to when you redo your desk eventually. You're gonna have to probably.
Well,
You're
he
gonna have
just
to
likes
build that.
like Lewis likes to just come sit in my lap, and Grace doesn't come anywhere near. But yeah.
Yeah, well,
All right, we're over time.
Yeah, the
We gotta
goal is
wrap this up.
generational wealth, people.
I
Do
promised
it.
we were going to try to keep this closer to an hour instead of an hour and a half. So we're almost getting to the middle point between the two, which is probably a good end goal for us. So, Jed, thank you so much for coming and talking with us today for the Two Average Husbands podcast. It's been a great time having you. Thanks for bringing a great topic and absolutely bringing all the controversial shit to us. We're happy to talk about it. Anything else that I have to add is literally just follow us on social media. You can find Jed nowhere because he's social media
I'm on Instagram.
Okay, you can find Jed on Instagram. That's right. Everywhere else, you can find the Two Average Husbands, as you guys know, either using our link tree in the descriptions or using one of our tags here, either Perry FF for Jake or Kyle and Hurston spelled out like that for me, and then the number two AVG Husbands on most platforms. That's all I got. What do you got, Jake?
Jed, thank you again for coming out. You are always welcome to come back whenever you would like. Just text one of us, aka Kyle, because I don't have your phone number. But
not yet.
Hey.
Carly says you need a Twitter, by the way, Jay.
Hey, yo.
What's up, girl?
Thank you, everybody who tuned in live and anybody who is listening to this on playback on either iTunes or Spotify. Thank you so much. Make sure you give us a like, leave a comment, thumbs up the video, whatever. Just get the algorithm in our favor so more people can come and hang out with us every single week, because that's what we want. We want people to come hang out. So
that's what we're here for.
As always, thank you for watching, and don't forget to tell somebody you love them.
I only had one burp. Peace.